What's going on, people? Good late morning on this Thursday. The week of football starts later tonight, so we're going to go ahead and do the rooting guide now. Going to go ahead and push it out and basically just lay out who Seahawks fans objectively should be rooting for, if anybody, in all of these weekend's games. So, as always, some of these games, it's going to be very thin. Some of these games, it's going to be basically nothing, right? There's going to be basically no objective interest. So we're going to do the best that we can. By the way, some people have asked me to start doing the rooting guide postmortems again. I'm going to start that next week. I wasn't doing them before because the rooting guides are so unclear this early in the season anyway, that I think doing a second video every week for a postmortem when we don't even totally know what we want until we get a little bit deeper in the season is probably a mistake. But now that we're in October, I'm going to start doing postmortems. So if you were asking about that, they are coming back in 60 seconds. Let me tell you about Sleeper. Before we go any further into this video, I want to tell you a little bit about my friends over at Sleeper. Have you heard about the app, the Sleeper app? Download it. I'm going to let you in on a little something now. It's more than just a platform for fantasy leagues. Yes, this year, millions of users enjoyed playing fantasy sports on Sleeper, but there is so much more to this app. There are live stats, real-time updates, and visualizations on all stats. News feed is lightning fast. You get updates on your favorite players and teams. There is a chat you can use in real time to engage with other users about plays and performances. All kinds of fun stuff like that over there. So download the Sleeper app, the #1 sports app today. Experience it yourself. Use promo code SBN to get a $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 25 states. Check out Sleeper today. SBN promo code. Back to the video. And we'll go ahead and open up with the Thursday night game, although I am going to go ahead and just admit that this game feels like such a foregone conclusion. It almost doesn't feel like it's worth getting into it. The Rams are going to win. In fact, I think you could make a pretty good argument that the Niners are basically waving the white flag on this game. If you've seen all the players that I've already announced they're not going to have this week, no Purdy, no Jennings, no Pearsall, a couple players on the defense as well, on top of the fact that they already do not have Kittle, and of course they've lost Bosa. It is unfathomable to think they're going to go on the road on the short week and beat the Rams. So I don't know. This one's kind of tough. If you remove that element, this one is hard. The Niners already beat us once, and we haven't played the Rams yet. So you'd think we'd want the Niners to lose, but the Niners are so incredibly injured, it's becoming a little bit harder to believe that they're going to be able to go on a big run, even with their easy schedule, and have some dominant record at the end of the year. So that would make us want the Niners to win. I don't know, but if I had to guess, I would say we probably would rather have the Niners win. Unless they trade for a stud pass rusher, which they could, it just feels like that team is just going to struggle to get to 10 wins at this point. And I can't believe I'm saying that, but that Niners team is so incredibly beat up. It's really, really hard to imagine this Niners team. I don't know. I struggle with this one. I struggle with it. They are well coached. They're going to get some players back in the coming couple weeks, but my gut says we want the Niners to win because everything I said about the easy schedule for the Niners mostly applies to the Rams anyway. I don't know, guys. But it doesn't matter, right? The Rams are going to win. The Niners are doing everything but wave the white flag. Okay, let's move to Sunday here. Vikings-Browns. This is going to be the early game and pretty easy, right? We will always pretty much be rooting for the AFC to beat the NFC. Not overly likely to happen, but the Vikings, they are playing their backup quarterback. Cleveland's got Dylan Gabriel in there, so maybe he can provide a spark. I don't know. Stranger things have happened, so definitely rooting for the Browns there. We need the Vikings to pile up the L's while they don't have their starting quarterback out there, because once they get him back, as much as he's not very good, This is a Vikings team that has enough going on that roster to where they could still be a threat if they're still alive. Raiders, Colts. Raiders, Colts. We do play the Colts this year. So I guess strength of schedule would advocate for us wanting the Colts to win. But the Rams have already beaten the Colts. We don't know if we're going to beat the Colts. So strength of victory would say we want the Colts to lose. I think we're going to go with the strength of schedule side and say we want the Colts to win. It is pretty thin, though. And it's another one of those things where you don't know for sure what you want until later in the year. If we lose to the Colts, we may want them to be as bad as possible. If we beat them, then we want them to be as good as possible. So it's hard to know. I'm going to say we want the Colts to win for now. Giants, Saints. We played the Saints. We beat the Saints. Strength of victory. I guess strength of victory would advocate for us wanting the Saints to win. If you want to maybe do a trade deadline deal with one of these two teams, and there's a player that you really want on one of these rosters, maybe you want that team to lose, but that's subjective, and it's also really hard to predict that stuff. So I guess we want the Saints to win just for the strength of schedule thing, but not a big deal. That's about all I can come up with. Cowboys, Jets. Cowboys lingering around a little bit here. Like I talked about, I started to wonder if maybe it wasn't really a possibility after the Bears game, but they're still here with 1-2-1. 1-2-1. I don't want to make too much of that game. It was a very weird game, obviously, and their defense is still every bit as bad as advertised, but I don't think that Cowboys team can be left for dead quite yet with that offense. So, hey, if the Jets want to get win number 1 and knock them down a peg or two, sounds good to me. Sign me up for that. So, yeah, definitely rooting for the Jets. Broncos versus Eagles, another classic NFC versus AFC game. Not expecting a lot, but if the Broncos want to give us a hand here, feels like the Eagles are playing with fire, feels like the Eagles are due a loss, feels like they probably deserve a loss or two based on the way they played so far this season. So, yeah, would be nice if the Broncos could help us out here a little bit. Dolphins, Panthers, again, AFC on NFC always makes this stuff a little bit easier. Gotta hope the Dolphins can keep their winning streak going, and the Panthers, if they continue to lose, maybe in a little bit of a fire sale by the time we get to the deadline. Now, we do play the Panthers later this year, so strength of schedule would advocate for a Panthers win, but I think that's outweighed, not by much, by our desire for them to lose as an NFC team, even if we don't think they're a serious threat. And if they win this game, which they may very well do, I wouldn't sit there and be like, oh, here come the Panthers. Also, remember, if they go into a fire sale at the deadline, that means they're that much easier to beat when the Seahawks play them at the end of the year. Okay, Texans, Ravens. This is going to be another one of those kind of tough ones where you're going mostly based off the strength of schedule argument because we play the Texans this year. But the issue is the Rams have already beaten the Texans, so it could play into strength of victory later in the season. It's a stretch. Strength of victory became an important tiebreaker for the Seahawks last year. Unlikely that it happens again this year, but always a possibility. So if we lose to the Texans, that becomes a big problem if Houston ends up putting together a good season. But I don't think, I'm not that worried about losing to Houston. I don't think they're good. There are good things about them for sure, but I don't think that's a very good team. So I think we want Houston to win. Also, it reduces their desperation level when they play us in a couple weeks, because I feel really good about winning that game right now, but a desperate Houston Texans team could definitely change that equation a little bit. So I think we want Houston to win for strength of schedule stuff. It is tricky. Titans, Cardinals, this is our first afternoon game, by the way. Pretty easy one here. Not expecting a lot, but hey, if the Cardinals want to keep getting pushed down here so we can at least forget about one of these division rivals, I would not be upset about it at all. I would not mind if the Tennessee Titans could come through for us and score a victory. Lions, Bengals, NFC on AFC. Always going to appreciate help from the AFC, even if I'm not expecting it. And the Lions, after a really bad start to this season, have shown they're not going to go away. So we got to keep them in mind here. We definitely got to think about them. So yeah, definitely pulling for the Bengals here. Commanders versus Chargers. Another relatively simple one. I don't know if Jaden Daniels is likely to get back this week. But either way, if the Chargers, with their beat-up offensive line, very, very beat-up offensive line, maybe too beat-up offensive line, can find a way, that'd be great. We need the Commanders to take some L's while they're a little bit weakened at the start of the season, because I don't think that's going to last forever. We have Patriots, Bills. I don't got much here, guys. This is the Sunday night game. I don't have much. If you want New England to go into fire sale mode and trade a good player to the Seahawks before the deadline, maybe you want them to keep losing, but they're 2-2. They've got their young quarterback that they like. They've got some young talent on that team that's pretty good. I don't think they're going to be trying to blow that up anytime soon, so I don't think that's on the table. Yeah, I think this is kind of a nothing burger. I can't think of an angle here. I don't think anybody in this division plays the Patriots this year. So, whichever. And then Monday night, Chiefs, Jaguars, AFC on AFC. So there's nothing there. We do play the Jaguars this year, so I guess we want Jacksonville to win for strength of schedule stuff. Again, you are playing with fire there, but for now I'm going to say we want them to win. All right, that's it for the rooting guide this week. A little bit reduced because we do have our 4 bye teams: Falcons, Bears, Packers, Steelers. And especially in the case of the Falcons, that's one of the teams that we're monitoring closely and want them to win pretty much every week. So with the Falcons out of the picture, the more interesting stuff with the rooting guide is at least a little bit diminished because that Falcons element is so big. But there's actually a lot of AFC on NFC this week. So there's plenty to watch for. And tonight's game would be fascinating and very intriguing and powerful, if not for the fact that the Niners are so beat up, it's unthinkable that they're going to win. And I guess we want them to win, but it's debatable. Okay, see you guys later. Go Hawks. Another video coming in a couple hours. I know I'm going to do at least one Mariners video today because we're going to find out who we're playing in the next round sometime this afternoon. So keep an eye out for that. But yeah, see you guys soon. Go Hawks. That's your rooting guide. Let me know if you guys think I missed any considerations, and have a good day.